Carrie Mitchell, Spirit Tribe of Light, and I am one of 3 awakening women who want to empower everybody with as much truth and knowledge as we can. Wisdom is actually the operative word. So I want to introduce Sananda Kryst, who I'm actually working with, her Pleiadian portal experience. She is one of the purest souls that I've ever met. And I know that you'll be able to feel her energy as well. Sananda, first of all, I just want to know how this all started. How did you get into this insane but beautiful mission?
Oh, I can't actually pinpoint when it all started, but I'm going to guesstimate around 2012 myself. I mean, obviously growing up, I was intuitive. I saw ghosts, I saw angels and energy forms, and I think pretty much repressed it. And also I was abducted between the age of 4 to 18. I was abducted about 8 times from the Greys. And then the Pleiadians would come in and try to fix what the Greys were doing to me, and they took away my memory. So a lot of that was all gone and repressed. So I think coming up to about 2012 was another big great awakening, and it was affecting me. I do remember being at work. I was a flight attendant at the time, and just finding that I was starting to struggle with the passengers, or the energy of the passengers within within the metal tube. And it just, I kept working because I just thought, well, this is what I'm here to do. I'm going to retire as a flight attendant, and
money's not bad.
Money, exactly. Once you tap out, seniority wise, you just, it was a good income. So about 2016, fall 2016, I'll just kind of speed it up. I was injured, and took 2 weeks off, and it was affecting my arms, and took 2 weeks off and went back in January. And I remember doing a 4-day trip, and I just ended up, my whole arms were swollen all the way around. I would just say from fingers all the way up around and down both arms. And what had transpired is that was my last trip in 2017. OJI, I just could no longer do the job. It was, you could say golfer's elbow, but it was more than that. It was affecting, I couldn't lift anything more than 2 pounds for a limited time.
Wow.
And I just, I had to, I went through everything. I went through physical therapy. I received, I think it was a steroid shot. I don't really, I can't quite remember, which ended up screwing up my elbow, made it worse. And the doctor was just trying to push me back to work. And I just said, no, I want to go back to therapy. And I was insistent on it, and did some other therapy work. And I tried, because in my mind's, I was going back to be a flight attendant. And this went on through 2018. And because of that time off from work, I was able to take 2 trips to Egypt, 2 spiritual trips to Egypt, which really at the time I had not a clue what was going on, but I just knew I had to be there. And it just opened me up spiritually. And I was also taking classes and courses, and just really working on me. It gave me the time to work on me. And then I started, just my gifts started coming out and becoming more noticeable. And I just thought, there's a bigger plan here. There's, this is happening for a reason. And I was still thinking I was going back to work, and I was back up into occupational therapy even, and couldn't do it. I couldn't lift the minimums to go back to be a flight attendant. And so I knew at that point that I had to have a plan B. And so I started working on opening, I guess one would say, a business, because I knew that I had to have something else to, have a monetary value to it, that to pay groceries and, the things we need in life.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell. And in the meantime, I have been very much actively healing my arms. They are so much better. It did take 3 years before I could put any of my physical weight on them. But
May I ask, was it an injury or was it a universal, you got to stop, or
I think it
both?
was both. There was an actual physical injury, because there's X-rays. I have deterioration. There's in the elbow and some of the shoulders. I have some neck issues from the job, and so that there was physical injury. But I think it was all the timing of like, okay, we need you to go to work, and so because it was just the flare up was just like boom, it was
Right.
there, and
So you had your lockdown early.
yeah, yeah, that
So
was
you
my.
were so you were ready for the real lockdown.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we call it deconstruction. Many people go through deconstruction. They lose their job, they go through divorce, they may lose their home, or it may be multiple things. It's part of the deconstruction. Yeah, to wake you up and take a look at your life and seeing that you are not on the path you're supposed to be, and you're not with the person you're supposed to be. And it sets you up to open yourself up to receive. And that's the hardest thing and the biggest thing to learn is to receive.
The painful experiences are the most sublime and beautiful things.
And that unfortunately is part of this whole COVID and pandemic, whatever's going on, the fires in California, the unfortunate great losses, even though it may have been, as you say, a nefarious start to it, there's always light within the dark. And through people's suffering, unfortunately, that is the only way some people will wake up, is through that loss, because it's the only thing that brings home to humans, to some
I
humans.
I
Yeah.
think that passage, or I don't even know if it's a passage in the Bible, but that thing about go down to your knees, I think that might have some sort of
Yeah.
meaning, not as in knees to worship, but down
Right.
to your knees to be at that point where you need to open up and take that power that you were born with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes absolute sense. Yes. It's just Kaisimano Malahiti Paku, Kiimana Siwala Pokuya. It is all about it's like stripping you down. To some people they're stripped down to nothing. Kaisiwala. But that is what they needed, unfortunately. And we wrote our path before we came here, what we would take on and what we wanted to go through in our journey. So some people go through it later in life. Some people go through it early in their life. I look back, my first probably 30 years of my life, I would say were pure hell for me. So I was on the correction. Some people I've learned they've had a beautiful life, and all of a sudden they say they come into their 50s, and all of a sudden they're getting divorced, they're losing their home, they've lost their job. So it's just, for everybody, it's a different timeline. And that's just the way it is. And it's just learning to go with the flow, it's around surrendering and releasing. And that is very hard to do as a human, because we are stuck in our ego, we are stuck in control, we are stuck in illusion.
And fright.
Right, fear is a big one. I don't know how many times I would sit. I remember the first time I had to give deliver a channeled message in front of over 100 people last October, and I'm sitting there at the table tapping, doing that EFT, emotional freedom technique. I call it my little cheat sheet, tapping my collarbone. It's not about me. It's not about me.
Let me do that while you talk. Okay.
It's not about me. Deliver the message. It's not about me. And when you do it, you always receive the validation that what you did was right. And it is. Doesn't that feel good? Just
Yes, I learned that I'm in hypnotherapy school, so I'm learning all about these different modalities, and I really like the tapping.
the tapping is
This
wonderful.
one,
Yeah,
yeah. Just everywhere.
Yeah, and sometimes if you don't have time for that and you're in a quick situation, it's like this. Hello.
Exactly. So let me ask you, in your reality, what is God?
To me, I like to call God divine because divine is all encompassing. And that's, I think, has a lot to do with my religious background, that I'm still, I shouldn't say dismantling, but just some old
Discerning?
threads that I'm still kind of tied to that don't resonate with me. Because to me, I grew up in a very strict Lutheran where God was male and there were all these rules and women couldn't, all this. And, to me, divine is both masculine and divine feminine.
I
Um,
agree.
it is also Mother Earth. It is everything. Everything is divine. We are divine. We are the spark of divine. We are all encompassing. So there is not, it's not, and what I'm hearing is it's not to necessarily put divine on a pedestal, but yet there is this divine energy, this divine source, but we are all part of it. There is no separation between us.
That's a tough pill for a lot of newly awakened people to swallow.
Yeah.
Could you put it in terms that someone who perhaps is just tuning in going, what the F is going on about unity consciousness?
Unity consciousness. Okay. That is,
I guess versus what they're so ingrained in, individual ego consciousness.
right. Well, that's the whole thing, individual versus unity. It's that, like the Pleiadians say, the road to oneness is not traveled alone. So before, there was a lot of us that were like lone wolves. We can do this. I don't need anybody. I can do this on my own and blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, that may be true, but at the same time, you end up suffering or stuffing down emotions and not expanding because you're just in yourself. Unity consciousness to me is coming together in spiritual communities, coming together in light, even if it's just for a coffee chat, so I'm trying to put my visions and thoughts into words, and sometimes it's easier to speak light language.
I love your light language.
The energy still comes out, so and I also send the pictures out. The big thing is soul family. We are finding one another, and we are finding that we can confide in one another because we understand one another, because we're going through this journey together. And you are not alone. You are so supported by one another, and that is the unity consciousness of whole. And it's about raising the vibration from fear and illusion and anxiety and frustration, all those lower dimensional things on the Hawkins scale of consciousness, coming up to that neutrality point and going up into peace and love and enlightenment and residing up there. And you do that together as a collective energy, where the lower energies to me are more individual energies. They are collective energies, yes, but they are more housed within you. To me, these upper vibrations, they're shared with everyone. It's just not you. It's not, the ego is no longer taking control, and you're just like sharing the light instead of keeping the light.
And do you, I'm not going to say predict, because I hate that word. Do you feel from all the energies that surround you that this unity consciousness is inevitable?
Yeah, it is. We've turned a leaf. In fact, I've even felt a shift, because I've talked about many times about November and the rest of this year is going to be very turbulent. Well, it still is going to be, but it's not as first, I don't want to say predicted. To me, there's been an immense shift in consciousness to alleviate some of that pain and suffering that could have taken place. And it's like changing timelines. It's like we have up-leveled our timelines as a consciousness, so we no longer have to go down that route. Do we still have lessons to learn? Do the people that need to wake up? Yes. So especially with the elections here in the US, that is going to trigger it. It's to the point where no matter who wins, it's going to be chaos.
Right.
And there's talk of a global lockdown. There's talk of, things could still happen. I just don't, in my heart, I don't feel like it's going to happen as a traumatic as it would have a couple of months ago. But the people that will feel it and suffer the most are the people that are not awake. Those of us that are awake and understand what's being played out will be able to handle it. And
maybe help out the ones that can't.
We're here to help and help those who are not in understanding. And yeah, we could talk to them and they don't understand a word we're saying or don't believe a word we're saying. And that's okay. It's just that you hold them in a space of love and peace and just say, well, you know what, I'm here for you when you're ready. Or if you ever want to talk, it's about raising your own vibration. You don't necessarily, that's the biggest thing people ask me all the time. I feel like I should be doing something. I need to be doing something because, not everybody's a warrior. Not everybody's out there protesting and doing their thing. Everybody should do what resonates with them. And if that means for you to go out and take a walk in nature and just send out an energy signature, that's the best thing that you could do. The best thing to do is stay in that high vibrational state.
So what I'm hearing is that you're as opposed to proselytizing as I am.
Well, if it's done in a beautiful way, if it's done with a beautiful intention, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. It won't be I can't even say the word. It won't be that. If it's done with love, it will be just the timing is divine and the person is open.
Right.
And if they're not, then you just bless them, send them light and plant that seed and they'll figure it out. Right.
They will. Yeah. Because it has to be in their timing. You can't force anyone to wake up, and that's a lesson that I work with every day because my companion is not awake. So
yeah.
So
that's tough.
So we've had to lay, even within our home here, I should say ground rules, but there's certain topics that we have to limit the time we talk about it because we're on opposite ends.
Right.
And it's been a test for me to stay in neutrality at the very least, and not lose myself in anger.
Right.
Because it's like, can't you see what's going on?
Yes.
But he can't, he just emotionally, physically, spiritually cannot connect with it.
And that's okay.
That's okay. And it's okay. Now I have learned to just, okay, I think we're done with the conversation. Can we be done with the conversation and pick it up later? Kind of thing.
Right.
Get to a point, even myself, I get to a point of, okay, can we talk about this later, please? And he's open to that. So it is. It's about honoring them and letting them go through it in their timing. I'm a advocate of nobody's going to be left behind.
I believe that too. And I don't like, and my bad for clicking on things. I'm a knowledge seeker. I'm a truth seeker, but I don't like the things that come out that may have a lot of truth in them, but they're put out there in such a frightening fashion that the vibration just plummets. What do you think about that? I mean, you have to really discern.
You really have to discern. And honestly, I don't even listen to a lot of that because I am trying to hear the truth within me, within my own heart. And I seem to get exactly what I need to get. So, people send me stuff and I do at times read things, but, and then I feel into it. It's like, well, I already kind of knew that. And some people I know are going to say to me, yeah, but you're more spiritually advanced than I am. I don't have that connection yet. That's okay. If I still ask that you go into your heart for your answers. And if you want to listen to somebody or listen what they have to say, please do it. But then use discernment, because there are many people out there that are just looking, it's their ego that's driving it. But there's also so many very beautiful people who are standing in the light, giving this information.
Right.
So, but,
I am not dishing truthers. Thank God for truthers.
yeah.
But just discernment, discernment, discernment.
Yeah, and there's one thing that I have been told, I was told this a long time ago, that resonates with me. And I always say too, no matter what I say, take what resonates and leave the rest. And that should be with anybody. Not one person will receive all the information.
Because
So,
we're all one. And the sparks go where they will.
and here's another thing too, is depending on where that person is in their multi-dimensional reality, we all are living in our own realities, our own timelines. And we resonate with people who are in that same timeline, reality. Other people are in a different reality, and to them, they're perceiving or seeing or knowing something that's different and resonates with them. And that's okay, you know. So it's finding, it's kind of like what we say, finding your tribe, finding where you resonate. And sometimes when you're with somebody for a while, you're like, all of a sudden you don't resonate with them anymore. And it's either because you've changed your vibration or they have.
Right.
And then you find yourself seeking somebody else out. It doesn't mean that they've, I don't want to say gone bad, but you just no longer resonate with them. And it's because there's been an energy shift. There's been a reality change.
And so when people are going through these breakdowns of relationships that are just coming faster and faster, we shouldn't guilt trip ourselves. We shouldn't be ashamed. We shouldn't wonder what could I have done, because the frequency has changed, and that is that.
Yes. Yeah. And
part with love.
Part with love, absolutely, part with love. And it may be difficult. I mean, sure, you're going to go through the human emotions of the, loss of somebody. You may still love them, but it is no longer for your highest good to be with that person. And
absolutely,
the best thing you can do if it's not working out is to let them go, because you are keeping yourself and that person from their next journey and their next.
Amen.
You could be keeping them from keeping yourself or them from their soulmate or twin flame or whoever.
Guilty.
Yeah, and it's a process, and you have to do it once again, do in your timing, but don't hold on because of the fear of loss.
Right.
And that's
because it may set you free.
Yeah, it does set you free.
It set me free for sure.
Yeah.
Although I do have the days when I cry, and I mean, going from 3D to whatever D we end up in is full of loss and beauty all at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's part of the journey, isn't it?
It's part of the journey. And even though you end up with, say, a soulmate, a twin flame, you're still going to have things in your relationships that are going to come up, because they're going to trigger you even more, which is happen for you to raise your vibration. So
we'll talk a little bit more about twin flames, because that's a subject that I'm fairly new to. I always just, every time I saw anything about twin flame, scroll past. I don't even want to know. So now that I got a little yearning to hear, I'd love to hear your theory.
Well, it's been presented to me, and I really resonate with this, because there are many theories about twin flame, and I'm not going to say they're right or wrong. They're just many theories. What I've been told is the actual twin flame is the sun and the earth. And if I was told, if I go out to Jupiter, which if you could astral travel or place yourself out in Jupiter, when you look at the earth and the sun, you can see that there's no space between them. Because when we transition, when we go home, or we actually go through the sun is our portal home. So so with the earth and the sun are like the twin flame. Some people break it down to, and this happened to me specifically when I went to Mount Shasta. I had been calling in my twin flame energy for quite a while, several years. And he was starting, he is Pleiadian. He was showing up in starting to show up in my meditations, and he would show up in my car. He would just start showing up, and I'm like,
Wow.
okay, beautiful. So I said, are you ever going to become a walk-in, or are you coming into Earth? And he just kept saying, I'm coming soon, I'm coming soon. Of course, I heard that for like a year and a half, and I'm just like, yeah. What you kept saying, I'm like, yeah, whatever. And what happened, it transpired in Mount Shasta, is it was the first night I was there, I merged with him. I merged with my twin flame, which is the divine aspect of me. My masculine aspect.
Did your masculine aspect twin flame literally become one with you? Like, are you together right now in your
within me?
Oh wow, that's beautiful.
There's what resonates with me with the twin flame is that when you come down come into divine form, to come to Earth, you split divine feminine, divine masculine, and this is just kind of the cliff notes of it. So and that's why some people always feel like they're searching for that man or that woman, because they're actually longing for their other half of themselves. And all I can say is, because I started calling in that twin flame, and when we merged our energies, we became one, that whole feeling of searching and emptiness totally went away. I feel totally complete as
so beautiful.
One person. So now, yes, is there a longing to be with someone who is more, say a vibrational match or a soulmate? Because to me, a soulmate is someone with whom you have a contract and they're here in the physical. And you just have been together in several lifetimes and it was beautiful and you just keep wanting to be together and work together. There is such a person here I know that is in the physical. So some people also feel they have their twin flame come into their life. And I love that idea that you have found your twin flame. It's not going to say it's right or wrong, but to me, the twin flame is this energy merge of the divine masculine and the divine feminine that comes together, and now you are complete. But if you find something very close to it in the physical, I say, yeah, go for it. Well, of course, go for it. But you're also going to be going through trials, and because you're going to get your buttons pushed, because it's like a mirror image of you. So you're going to see all those things that didn't realize you irritated other people or something. It's just going to push you to be a better person and elevate your soul essence.
Well, then I guess I have met a physical twin flame, because have I been mirrored back and have I been healed? It's not being reciprocated with the healing, and it's painful, but I really, really thank Source, God, for sending me this extremely confused individual to show me that's where I was.
Right. And it's very interesting. One thing that I am finding out is that we also have a twin to each one of our chakras.
Okay.
And it's coming to light with me. It resonates with me. I'm part of the Earth's Council of Light. Here on Earth, we get together. There's 4 of us now. There's going to be 7. There's 4 of us. And we work on many different things together. We, shall I say, get our missions from Divine or from Lord Ashtar, or whoever comes in. But we are finding that we are somehow, we feel like we're twins to one another. Like one feels like a twins, two of them feel like, I would say, twin sisters. And then I have a twin brother, a male figure. But we always said to each other, we're like twin stars, or we feel like we're twins, but we knew we weren't twin flames.
Right.
We feel there's such a connection. There's like a twin connection to one of us. And so the only thing that I can put wrap my head around or my heart around is that they are a twin to me for each one of my chakras. And it would make sense to me, because if it's a council of 7 and we have the 7 chakras, we are going to be representatives to one of another as a twin to one of each one's chakra.
Okay, I have a really, really, well, it's not gonna sound crazy to you because you totally get me. I have been seeing the number 7 and the letter V for probably a year now. Every time I meditate, V7. And you mentioned 7, so that kind of clicked. And then, but I can't figure out V.
Wow. You know, I'm not a numerology person. I've always loved the number 7. And it's interesting because my birth date is the 7. I mean, not 7, it's on the 7th, September 7th. I'm asking for them if they'll tell me what the V means, and I'm not getting anything. So
they want me to figir it out.
It's not for me to know.
Well, the V oftentimes has a lantern in it, a lit lantern in it. So,
well, see, and what I just got, it's like the sacred womb. You know, it's
oh my gosh, that makes sense, because I thought I was a pervert. I will see, not unclothed, but I will see the woman's hips to groin V sometimes too, and I never connected that. Wow.
Yeah.
That's,
you know,
that's amazing.
You know, and it was funny because I got to flash the image of the Lord's Supper, because they always talk about the V that's in there between Jesus and Mary.
Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, or is it Joseph? Now I'm gonna probably be.
Now I'm blanking, but I know the V. I know the V.
There's a V in the Lord's Supper, and they're always saying that is in reflection to Mary Magdalene. So V is always very present in it. To me, it's like and I also hear Yoni, you know, the sacred womb. So yeah.
So my complete affinity from, as long as I can remember, with Mary Magdalene, I'm figuring this out as we speak. It may very well be her and a message about the sacred womb, which I no longer have a womb.
Okay. Yeah.
But I did have pretty sacred children.
Right. But you are still divine feminine.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, because I see a beautiful red rose where that would be. Yeah, so the beautiful red rose is still there. Even though the physical part might not be there, the energy part is still there.
That makes perfect sense. And hysterectomies do not affect the chakras, I'm assuming.
No.
That's good to know. Shout out to anybody who's worried about that.
You know, it's a shock to the body. Can it be a shock to the energetic body? Yes, but I think if you go in it, I guess what I do, if I have to go to the dentist, I just ask my soul to remove itself, my spirit to remove itself. So if I'm getting Novocaine, or, you know, because it can be a jolt to the energetic body.
Right.
I just ask that it be removed while that is taking place. Or if you go in, or you don't even, if that doesn't resonate with you, just go into meditation and calm it down, and knowing that it's just this physical body that is being taken care of. It's not in any way don't in any way let it affect the spiritual body, you know, because
I wonder if that might be the all the dental, I mean, literally all the dental work that people get done, I bet 80% of the people have some sort of physical blockage after that.
Yeah.
The fear, going in with the fear, going in with the body all tight, not knowing that the body, the body and the soul, while they are companions and, you know, helpmates, you are not your body.
Right.
Right.
Right. And it was interesting because I just had something that transpired over the weekend, because I find that when I have stuffed so much as a child, and even as adult, I stuff it within my intestines and stuff, and I usually end up with severe UTIs. And so, and I know that now, that that's where I stuff it, and I'm like, okay, so you have to deal with that on a physical body sense.
Right.
And I was working on it energetically, and then I also called in a friend to help me, and it was great for a day. And the next day, Sunday, it just blew up with a vengeance. And so I said, okay, I'm going to just go in and go to the clinic and get some immediate relief with some antibiotics. Even though I didn't want to, I just thought I was at a loss. Went in there, got my antibiotics, and and it's interesting, already knowing that I can't take aspirin, I can't take decongestant anymore, I can't do any of those things because my body can't process them anymore because of my vibration. But I went in and I just thought, okay, I'll just get some antibiotics. It was just 3 days, and I took only a total of 3 tablets, and it was just breaking me down. My mind and my body just was going, well, not crazy, but it was just, I couldn't hardly function. And I just knew I couldn't take the drugs anymore. Vibrationally, I couldn't handle it. So I said, okay, I can heal this emotion. I can heal this myself. But because of what the drugs had done to me,
Right.
and that's what drugs do. Drugs take you out of your mindset. They alter your brain waves. And, you know, my dear, beautiful friends of the council took me into their fold and worked on me for almost an hour, healing me and healing. And of course, which was good, beautiful, they took me to the moment in time of which I had actually had a repressed memory, healed it. And then I was able to come in and participate in the healing then too. They got me to a point where I could participate in the healing. And by the end, it was like, it was gone. It was all gone.
Do you believe the same is true of many psychological disorders? I just remember the 90s was like a heyday for big pharma and psych meds, and I was put on so many different things to resolve, you know, whatever chemical thing it was.
Yeah.
But it wasn't chemical. It was spiritual blockages. It was programming. What do you have to say about your opinion, and maybe anybody that's there that wants to help, opinion on people who, as they awaken, especially in this crazy time, that they're not going crazy?
No, they're not going crazy. I remember thinking myself when I was going through that awakening, I think this was more in my mid-30s, that I thought I was crazy because I had, in my family line, some mental issues. I remember a beautiful lady came up to me out of the blue and just said, "You're not crazy." And I just looked at her like, okay. Because you start wondering, and you're not crazy. You know, I always say that with a grain of salt. Please always do seek medical.
Definitely.
Do seek your
Yes,
medical.
please.
Yes, please. But there are certain things like entity attachments that play a huge part in disrupting your psyche. The lower dimensional energies, anxiety and depression, which can be relieved with like light language healing, Reiki sessions. I've helped many people with my healing sessions dissolve away the depression, and going in and actually finding that where the root of the depression maybe had started, which may have been many, many, many lifetimes ago, and going in and healing that lifetime and clearing the timeline through to, you know, to the present and then to the future, and very successful at that. So there are many other ways to look at these emotions. It's because everything is stored in our body. We've done that for thousands of years, because we've been on this reincarnation cycle with the negative matrix. And so, and now is the time when people are waking up to this information, and many people out there are saying, yes, I can help you relieve that. Are there still physical symptoms? Yes, and you should seek a doctor. But as a backup, consider seeking somebody who's reputable, with some timeline clearing, some past life clearing, some Reiki healing, some light language healing.
Energy work. Yeah. And that has helped me with my depression and anxiety more than any drug ever did.
Yeah.
And the results are, if you resonate with that person, if you're on the same, like, the knife in my back we talked about, it comes and goes now. It was permanent. It was permanent before I started working with you. And I just said, well, that's my thing. I have to deal with it. And then the first session we had, it disappeared for days. And then it only came back. It only comes back when I allow my frequency to focus on the things that have stabbed me in the back.
Yeah.
And when I rise above that and understand why I was stabbed in the back, how I allowed myself to be stabbed in the back, then the pain just trickles away. And I'm assuming that with working with you, that I can probably just dismantle that puppy all the way. Yeah. And audience, praying I have one. Audience, consider energy healing. Please consider energy healing. And I resonate beautifully with Sananda, and that's why I wanted to share her, because she has the most beautiful team, and you can feel them. And she's the real. I'm going to say the real McCoy. That used to be my last name at one point. But yeah, so if you're thinking about energy healing, do not be afraid, because you're actually just being allowed to find the method to heal yourself.
Yeah.
Is that right? That's right. Yeah. And you just have to trust that other person. You have to resonate with that other person. And there are so many out there, and again, bringing up discernment.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Bottom line, go with your gut. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right.
Right.
You may feel like it's that gut intuition, but it's actually it's coming from your heart. Okay.
Yes.
And it's moving the brain out of the way. Some people feel things in their solar plexus area, like whether or not it feels good or not. If that's what it is, that's what it is. But yes, definitely use your discernment, and don't be afraid to ask the person. Like me, I have a discovery call. Don't be afraid to ask me, what is your protocol for keeping clear, or if that's a question. It's something that I honor myself every morning. I clear myself. I clear myself after each client session. I clear myself if I go grocery shopping, or I'm out anything. Even if I go visit family, I come back and I clear myself. It's psychic hygiene is called.
That's one of the things that you said that I've really resonated with, that I was not doing. I didn't even know I should. I just thought meditate, raise your vibe. No, there's more to it. There's grounding, there's clearing, there's bringing in better energy. And that's one of the things that I love about your sessions. and by the way, congratulations on that discovery call that you offer, because people can get roped in without ever having spoken with someone. And then even you have to discern, are you able to work with this person? Right. So I think everybody should have a discovery call.
Yes. Yeah.
Shout out to all healers. Give them a few minutes free.
Well, I understand. I know I've had many people tell me that the discovery calls are wonderful. And I think sometimes they go away after a while once the person becomes very busy or they change their platform of how they're working.
Right.
I think sometimes too, once you have developed enough of a following, or if you want to say a reputation, that you are a clear channel, that you are a good person to go to, you maybe necessarily don't need that discovery call anymore. But I still love it. I've met so many wonderful people, amazing around the world, different nationalities, different occupations, and it's like reaching and connecting with soul family. I mean, every once in a blue moon, I'll have somebody that I don't have a soul contract with, but we may still be soul family. And I'll be like,
right.
I'm just so happy to meet them.
Right.
But I guess the basis of the discovery call is to see how I can help you. And, am I the right fit for you? Do we resonate with one another? And what I have to offer you, is this the best thing for you? And getting you on that right path and getting you that clarity. And so, yeah, it's beautiful.
And I hope that this goes far and wide, because I feel that the soul family in which you and I are involved is growing and growing. And if we don't share it, and that's my loving gift to you, is the prayer that this goes to somebody who needs it.
Yes. And it will. I believe it will. It's interesting. That's where divine comes in and puts the video in front of the people that need to see it. Because I don't know.
That's what happened to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know how many times I've had people say, well, I started following you because, your video just showed up one day and I started watching it and you just resonated with me. And I'm just like, and I have to thank divine for that, for doing that for me.
I saw it. Usually I scroll through, and then if something tweaks me, I'll scroll back and maybe I'll check it out. But I saw you and I said, I know that person. And I clicked and it was like, what? It was brilliant. It was like, okay, I knew I was waiting for someone. And I've had beautiful healers in the past for where I was at that time. And I mean, I'm going to shout out Paul Y. Rostek for getting me from insanity to clarity. And he's still a beautiful friend of mine, and I still follow and donate and support his work because he's so beautiful. But it's time for me to go more the way of not just healing, because I am healing and I'm healing rapidly, but go more into the work.
Yeah.
The work that whatever. And when we do the Wednesdays at 3:00 Central Time, yes,
yes,
every Wednesday 3:00 Central Time, when we do that work, I feel complete. I feel complete, and I've never felt complete. I never really believed that you could sit in a chair, close your eyes, and help the world. But I do now.
You do. Yeah. And that's just so people know, that's on Instagram at Pleiadian Portal. But yeah, and then I put the replays on YouTube. But yeah, and that's when I first started doing that, I didn't know why I was doing this, other than, divine said, you need to do this. And then you're like, once you move in from free will, you move into divine will. With divine will, when they say to do something, you're like, okay, no matter how much it scares you. And
right. Like this interview.
And you may procrastinate, but it'll keep coming back at you like, okay, you haven't done that yet. You need to do that. And it's just, it's evolving into its own thing. And, I just come on weekly. I usually get, I guess you call it a ping or a hit a day or two beforehand of what I need to bring forward, whether it's just multidimensional realities, a trip to the Pleiadian Healing Center
I love it there.
for a ray of light healing. And it's different every week. And sometimes for a while there, I know we were doing multidimensional reality, and that's more of what I call mission work, where we are working together.
I remember fixing a grid, a part of a grid,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and it was so real in my third eye. It really happened. I'm just saying, we really did work.
Yeah.
It is not impossible to close your eyes and help fix the world. And I'm going to cry now because it's so beautiful.
It is beautiful. And what I find is that it doesn't take very many of us to do it. I mean, each week, I'm slowly growing on there, which is beautiful, and I'm so thankful for. But there's so many people joining us from their higher selves. It may be hundreds of people that are actually there with their higher selves. And then I also can feel in the YouTube people that are connecting in, that are watching it later, because it's all one energy container. And it's amazing what we can accomplish. I mean, how many times we've spread a certain energy across the globe, and it just radiates out. And
Mount Shasta, the Devil's Tower, to this, to that, to this. Oh my God.
yeah, it is.
They're nodes, right? These places. They are spiritual. I don't even know if nodes is the right word, but they are the places where the energy is pure and strong. And what we can do, and what I understand that we're trying to do, is to connect them all so that the energy can. Am I on the right track with that?
Yeah. And I'm also being shown the crystals. I am a crystal generator, so a lot of times I go deep into the earth and I start up these crystals that have been dormant for a long time. And so these crystals are also coming online within the earth and connecting between the new ley lines and the grid systems, and purifying and clearing it all out. And for some reason, and that's why California is now coming into my mind, the fires. As terrible and as devastating as I hate to see nature being burned and animals lost and people's lost, it was done because it needed to be purified. I can't remember, was it Fukushima in Japan, when they had that huge nuclear blast that came, and all that radiation came over, and it's settled into California and beyond, and it was in the trees and it was in the earth. And
wow.
So burning that's taking place up there is burning off all that radiation that is housed in the trees that are now have been burnt off. So it was a huge purge and purification that took place of chemicals and contaminants and energy that just needed to be gone. And it will come back, and it's going to be even more beautiful than what it was before. Because that was one thing that the council and I, we took a look at that and said, okay, should we be bringing in rain? What should we be doing? What needs to be done for this? Because we all had kind of our thought process around it. And we said, well, somebody brought up, well, why don't we ask Gaia what we should do? And yeah, perfect. Let's ask Gaia. So Gaia said, let it burn. But we could come in, because it needed to be burnt off, but we could come in, we came in ahead of it, and we started purging the earth of the energy of the dark density energy in front of it. So it wouldn't necessarily need to continue to spread. And there was a lot of...
Makes sense.
Yeah, so it needed to be purged off, and it was done through flames. And so, yeah, so Gaia basically told us to let it alone. Let it...
So from the ashes, the beauty will come.
Beauty will come. Absolutely.
I got to write a poem soon.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. Now, that makes me feel a lot better about not the losses, but just about how a human being has a tendency to always go, why God, why God, why? There's so much more. There's so many dimensions and layers of what's happening that we get stuck in the tragedy layer, which is tragic.
It is tragic.
And it's sad, but it's not all that's there.
Yeah, and that's the same way it goes for any earth, tornadoes. Excuse me, so there's a lot of throat clearing. Tsunamis, hurricanes, when it comes along the coastline, especially when it hits the Caribbean, there's a lot of dark energy in the Caribbean. There's a lot of transferring of money runs through the Caribbean.
That old offshore bank account, yes, ma'am.
It's can be one consider a temporary housing of financial funds that are being transferred. So yeah, there's a reason behind it. And unfortunately, there are people there that I feel really sad for, if they're losing their homes and stuff. But the old earth part of me is like, well, if you build on the lakeshore, or if you build on near the ocean, expect to be swept away.
Yeah, it's kind of the way it works.
Yeah, Mother Earth can always reclaim her land. It's her land, not ours.
That is a statement that needs to be like emblazoned in the sky.
Yeah.
For everybody to see it. Who the heck decided that people could own land?
Yeah.
Did they ever tell you who decided that through your sources? Because I'd like to know. But it's just, I've never resonated with that. I've never resonated why. Well, now I do. Just having talked to you, I get it. It's beautiful to sit by the ocean and absorb that massive energy and that gravitational pull and the moon. But do you have to build a box there and stay there always? No, it should be, I feel it should be, the coastlines, the rivers should be public.
Yeah.
So that all of us can benefit from that energy. And so much of it is, private property. Don't enter. That's my beach. I've even walked down a beach and had a homeowner say, "That's my part of the beach. You can't walk." Well, how am I supposed to get from? She wanted me to go out into the water and walk through the water to get around her. So I was like,
technically, they don't even own the beach. I mean, there's yeah, that's another whole.
I mean, I could go on and on, as you know.
Yeah.
It's just, it's injustice that we're not all allowed to share the beauty of Gaia. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I understand there's, because I lived on a lake and I had lake property, a very tiny little part of it, and it was like you had so much, there's all these rules and laws about how much rights you have to the water and which is public and which is private, and and I'm just like, and then they how to maintain it, and I'm like, well, now you're telling me how to maintain it, and it's just like
and who said it needs to be? Isn't it maintaining itself?
It should maintain itself, and at least
beautifully.
And that was one thing that I did agree with, is they want it left natural, because so many people would come in with tillers and till up all the weeds, because the lake at that time had receded like 10-15 feet. It was a natural lake, and so people were coming in and tilling it up and creating these big beautiful beach scenes that you see in the magazines, and and creating volleyball courts, but they were also then stripping away the natural habitat of the lake. And the DNR was coming in and saying, you can't do that, we're going to fine you. I mean, some people were even sodding farther down to the lake shore, creating sod and lawn, and it just it never changed. I'm like, well, what did they do? Just pay a fine and got their hands slapped? And
well, if you have the money, I guess that's what happens.
That's just kind of my little thump of, I just don't believe anybody should own the lakes, the water, the beach.
I don't believe that we should even pay for water. It's our water. It's all our water. It's all our trees. It's all our land. It's for
Yeah.
all of us.
It's for everyone.
That's a pet peeve.
Yeah.
I won't go any deeper, but and it's not even envy. I mean, it's not that I want them to move so I can claim their spot. It's just a God's honest knowing that it's not supposed to be this way.
And I think it will take time and it will change, and hopefully starseeds will get together, light workers will get together and have the means to, possibly in the beginning to start buying up some of this area themselves to return to either natural habitat or to return it to where people could come in and enjoy it. And it is not all under private ownership, because it should be for everyone to enjoy. And I do know that in 10 years from now that this world is going to be a totally different place than what it is right now, because everything is moving in such an accelerated pace that this is going to be a different world that we live in.
That's what I love to hear.
Yeah, and I think it will also be monetarily wise. The way we operate financially is going to be totally different. I think that's going to come up even much sooner than 10 years.
That would be a blessing for so many people, myself included. At this point,
it's going to go through some trials and tribulations to find the right system, but there's going to, the information that I received is there's going to be a new money system, and then that money system, if you want to call it money,
currency exchange.
Currency exchange, yes, thank you, is going to change, and then that, then that may even evolve into something more global, or even to where it's not necessarily something that we have tangible that we exchange. It will all be electronic, but it will be much more fair. It will definitely be much more fair.
Yes, and everybody will have access to this currency.
Yes, yeah.
That's beautiful, and nobody will starve.
Right. But there has to be a breakdown of the system that we have now, and that's going to be very scary for a lot of people, especially if they are not awake.
Even if you are awake, it can get you sometimes. Yeah,
because it could just all disappear, or it could all. I mean, I'm not sure what's happening, so I don't want to freak.
No predictions. We don't predict.
Because anything, it can change.
Timelines are just all over the place.
Because even me, there's a part of me is like, if I got up tomorrow, all of a sudden the banking system collapsed and like my money no longer is there, I'd be like,
You wouldn't be human otherwise.
No, you're still, still human, but at least I have the foresight to be like, okay, calm down. There's something bigger at play is happening, and I'm going to. That's
the point of sharing this, is that if and when that happens, people aren't going to remember the Great Depression and all the people that flung themselves off the buildings. That's not going to happen as long as we continue to do our best to share that we can make it no matter what the systems are throwing at us.
That's right. If hypothetically food becomes short, well, that's okay. I can fast, do 24-hour fasting sessions like every other day or something. Your body can handle that.
Right.
People fast for 3 or 4 days or longer, and your body is okay. So you're not going to die. You're going to have huge amounts of fear, and that's exactly what this is going to do. But if you know that, you can be like, I've got this. Everything's going to be just fine, and I am not alone. I am not alone in this.
So do you recommend practice fasting?
I do. I think it's good for your body, and I think it's good for your spiritual evolution. I fast, at least I try to fast myself every day, 12 hours at night. 12 hours. I do that for sure. And then if I'm called to do a 3-day fast or something, I just do it. And lots
of water.
And lots of water. Yeah.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot. Yeah.
Okay, I'm being led down a rabbit hole that I didn't expect to be led down about fasting. Can you maybe offer a theory on those people who are anorexic and or bulimic, that type of fasting? Does that have anything to do with the innate need to fast and then the ego takes over? That's always been so interesting to me.
Um, yeah, that's a delicate one because, of course, I'm not an expert on anorexic or bulimia, but to me, and I did have a roommate that was bulimic when I back in my 20s. Um, it is all, at least for her and what I know, this is all related on emotions that you are repressing and not healing, and it could be past life stuff. A lot of it is present, future, or present timeline stuff that needs to be addressed. And a lot of it is around society's idea of what a beautiful, perfect person looks like. And that is one thing
Yes.
that I have learned through my spiritual evolution, is learning to accept myself for the way I look.
It's a
It,
toughie, isn't it?
it is a toughie. It is a toughie.
Although you're beautiful, I'm sure what you see may be
Yeah.
different. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
hear you.
Yeah. I remember when I first started making videos over 2 years ago, the angels would say to me, because I would fluff, because I have very thin hair, and and they would be like, "What is with you in your hair?" Laugh, and I would say, "Well, give me some, you." And it was just like, "Well, no." And in fact, I started losing more hair, and I'm just like, there's this whole lesson of I am beautiful no matter how much hair I have, and if I would go bald, I'm still beautiful. I'll find some fantastic looking scarves and I'll put them on.
Right.
It,
It's so true. It's so true. I actually was called to start doing videos probably 2 years ago. And I have always been so ashamed of my looks. You're not anymore. I'm fine with how I look. And then at the same time, I was in my early 50s and aging, and I talked to Paul Wyrustic, my healer, and I said, I really want to put these videos out about, I'm so ugly. And he's so gentle. All he said was, you're just afraid. And when the time's right, you'll accept your face, you'll accept your body. And he was right. And I spent years anorexic and 90 days in treatment. And all it took was somebody to tell me, it's your emotional health, not it's not a for you, it's not a disease. It's you have stored and stuffed and stuffed. You have no more room for anything else. And it also is extremely effective in allowing you to leave your body, which when you're in an uncomfortable situation,
yeah.
And once I learned that, it's gone. It's totally gone.
Yeah.
There's no overeating. There's no undereating. I'm hungry, I eat.
Yeah. So,
And it's beautiful that at 90 days and thousands of dollars and then a divorce comes down to the fact that my ex and I couldn't communicate, and I felt like I wasn't worthy of communicating.
yeah. And it comes down to self-love and self-worth.
Yes, yes.
So to go back to your question, I would ask you then, since you've gone through that, what did you would say to those out there who would be anorexic or bulimia in fasting? What would be your
I would say be sure that you've gone through the proper treatment, the proper psychological explanation. And I would add, for sure, find somebody spiritual who could help you go within to find your particular individual reason for the purging or the starving or the overeating, whatever your thing is. because until, it's just like anything else, until you can get to that root, then it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I highly advise going through a full treatment program, because they don't just, yes, they do force feed you, and yes, it's ugly, and yes, it's scary, but they're trying to save your life.
Yeah.
And it makes you rebellious, and it makes you uncomfortable, and it makes you mad. But as soon as those nutrients enter your bloodstream at a healthy, level, you can see so much more clearly.
Yeah.
And you can start to process your issues. So I think it's a way, and it's absolutely no criticism on anybody's part, but it is a way to hide from going within.
Yeah. Beautiful.
It's an addiction just like anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I hope that helps somebody. I don't want to scare anybody away from treatment, but I'm not going to lie and say it's a walk in the park.
Yeah.
But I met some of the most empathic old souls here to do this work. And some of them, I've stayed friends with some of them, like online and stuff. And I have one very, very, very dear friend who is, unbeknownst to her, one of the walking earth angels. But she's very young still, and she was raised dysfunctionally. But I see her being very influential one day.
Good. And
Don't hide from your power, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right?
right. Don't hide from your power. Yeah. Do the work. Power.
Do the work.
Do the work. That's the bottom line. Do the work. We can't,
do the work without listening to what other people are telling you is the key. Because your work is unique and your work is your own, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm holding a crystal.
The biggest I had to learn going into this, I guess, business, if you want to say, and not comparing yourself to other people that are doing the same thing, is that it doesn't, and I found this little note somewhere, and I don't know where, and it doesn't matter what other people are doing, it only matters what you are doing. Because
that's one of the toughest lessons a human being can ever learn.
Because your path is unique as you are, and you
like a thumbprint.
Yeah, you may do similar things, but there's something that's just going to be just different. It may be your delivery, it may be your personality, your energy signature, something that will set you apart from them that's different. That will, and you need to hone in on that and stop looking at other people and look at yourself and saying, what is my brilliance? What is my power? What makes me shine? And what brings me joy?
Not just what are my issues and how can I get rid of them? What are my strengths?
And and not look at the numbers. Like say if you're on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, and it's not. Yes, numbers are important for followers because at least people are hearing your message, and that's what you're trying to do. But
right.
You're growing and expanding at the same time, the numbers, to me, I say, are in a respect, they're not important in the respect of don't let that dictate what you do. You just keep shining your brilliance.
Absolutely. With my poetry, I get readers, but I mean, there are poets that get thousands of readers. I don't really care if it's one reader, if I make that person feel good, if I make that person think, if I make that person feel like there's somebody else out there who knows what they're feeling, that is all I care about.
Right.
And of course it'd be great to sell a book and be able to put food on my table better, and maybe that will happen one day. I think it will. But at this point, I'm just starting out, and I'm happy with the baby steps.
Yeah, I think growing organically is a beautiful way to do it. I know I'm here for a huge role.
Yes, you are. My condolences sometimes.
And I accept that lovingly, and I'm watching it unfold and working
You're
through
doing beautifully too, beautifully.
my own fears or procrastination around it. And it's not so much fears, it's just because I'm not tech savvy. So right there,
Hello.
I'm like, okay, well,
It's
and
a headache. It's a headache.
so then what I do is I just ask that beautiful people be put in my path that can help me. And because I do want to reach more people, I do want to help more people. And that is also because I know recently I've been given the cue that I am here to delve into the entertainment industry.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. Go, 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 girl. Tell me all about it.
So
Not all about it, but what you are able to tell me about.
what I'm able to, because it's still kind of in the beginning stages. It's working with musicians and actors, and I'll just say on all levels, but mainly the big ones, I guess, Hollywood, the big names, the industry, the entertainment industry, we'll put it at that. So, and I know I'm not the only one, that's doing this. So it's a collaborative effect. Although it may come out individually, but we're working together.
Right.
And I've already had 2 of them approach me, their higher selves, 2 very well-known people. Their higher selves have come to me that I've worked on. And so that's just the beginning. And for me, it's not coming in at the level, I'm going to be working with it on 2 levels. I'm coming in at this level, their vibrational level, and working with them. I'm working with the collective energy around it, but also from above, and working from it from above and down.
And so your trickle down thing that you talk about.
I trickle down. Yeah. And that could take years.
Right.
But it's still something new that that has opened up to me. And so that I think perhaps at some point my business may segue to that. I don't know. I'm just leaving it.
You're going organic, baby.
I just let it flow.
Yeah.
I'm doing a little bit of everything. I do a lot of stuff, at night or on weekends, or that I'm called to, and with the council, a lot of multidimensional work. So just so people know, your soul's path is more than one thing. It is, you have your one golden path, I say, and you have many avenues to the side, and all these avenues to the side come together at the end. So it's just following you, what brings you joy. And even though your one made soul mission may be to be a healer, well, you may start out in Reiki, and all of a sudden you're bringing in singing bowls, and then you're bringing in essential oils, and it's just creating a bigger, profound resonance for you. And things evolve and change. And then something else might come in your avenue, and you'd be like, wow. And it just expands upon that.
I'm getting the crown tingles big time right now.
And it just, some people, I want to let people know, not everyone is meant to be a healer. Not everyone is to be a channeler, to be out in the public, or have a business in this. I want to say we need awakened star seeds who are working at Starbucks, and who are working at the grocery store, who are the waiters and waitresses in the diners.
Doesn't it make all the difference in the world? Especially now?
Because when I go to the grocery store, or even Costco, I'm looking and I'm like, are there any star seeds? Check it out, because I would love to go through their line because of their energy, because that energy is needed everywhere. And yes, and once we wake up, that energy will be everywhere, but it's still in the process. So if you are in one of those jobs, you are very much needed there, because we need you to be there. So when we come to visit, we want to be with you. You are just as important.
We're all on the front lines with sharing our light. All of us.
Absolutely. Nobody's better than else. We all need we all need to be where we need to be.
And we have to understand that we cannot do everything. That's why we're all working together, right?
yes, we are all pieces of the puzzle. Absolutely.
And the puzzle can be solved,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it will be solved. One last thing. I know I'm probably draining the heck out of you, and I apologize, but one last thing I wanted to ask was December 21st. Anything?
The event.
Well, I believe something. I believe that I think that we're just going to get hit with just a giant bolt of clarity. That's my opinion, but I'd love to hear yours.
I'm not a big astrology person, and I've let that
Neither am
known
I.
many,
Neither am
many times, even though I know it plays a big part of role in our lives. There is something astrological that's going to happen on that day. It's huge. I think it happens every 26,000 years or something.
Something like that, yeah.
It's also what's going on. It's hugely impacting the poles, the north and the south, the poles. There's a lot of, even that may take place where they may actually switch on that day. I'm not sure. And which, in the meantime, while it's doing that energetically, that is also what's making people crazy and frustrated, because the energy unsettledness, that is all transponding or transferring at the same time. We are the event. That's how I look at it.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, we are the event. It's something that we have as a collective have been asking for, and it's just coming in beautiful divine timing. Is all happening up until this one magical point in December astrologically that this is happening, and it's going to be a huge turning point. Exactly what is going to transpire, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm probably going to take the day off just to be sure.
I might have a few extra water bottles around just to be sure.
Because I want to be present in the moment of
Yes.
whatever may transpire.
Right. Because what if it's subtle and you're out running around and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and it may be absolutely nothing. Some people be like, I didn't even know anything happened. But yeah.
Maybe a cosmic seed planting.
Right. Well, just the same way what we turned over to what was the big 12K the year
Yes.
turned, everybody freaked out and like, oh my gosh, some people thought the world was ending and all this and that.
My mom sent me holy Catholic salt to sprinkle around my house.
Yeah, and
she was so terrified.
And nothing happened. Nothing happened.
No.
Everything was fine. So once again, don't get caught up in any fears or illusions. Just allow it to happen. Be in the flow, be in the presence, surrender to it, release to it with your highest light. And yeah.
Was it you or was it somebody else I watched yesterday that said, don't get caught up this year in the Christmas hullabaloo, the shenanigans. Make something maybe for your family, and on or around the 21st, go within. Don't be thinking, I got to have enough champagne for that party. I need to get the turkey thought out. Take this Christmas as the spiritual thing that is meant to be. This particular Christmas, especially, and I resonated with that. Let's just all breathe and get the gifts from Gaia and from the galactics, get the gifts from the source, get the gifts from your own energy transfers. And
yeah, I look at it like, say, what if the TV, the internet shut down? It didn't take place in March or April. I'm still hearing that could happen. I haven't really talked about it. And I'm glad it didn't happen. It actually happened. I know it happened in Minnesota for a day. It was down for like 6 to 8 hours, and it was kind of rolling. It took out a section of the U.S. and then it took out a section of the West, small point of the West Coast. A lot of people don't even know that was happening because it was very subtle. But just say hypothetically, if that would happen, the internet goes down, the TV goes down, anything. Just think how beautiful it is that you could spend Christmas time with family, light some candles, and just
Yes.
enjoy the season for what it
And
is.
and the football game, you know, is an awesome thing, but sometimes the sports take the holiday to a different place, and let's do the dishes together. Let's set the table together. Let's
Yeah,
eat what food we have, bless it, and enjoy just our own energies.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't had cable TV for a couple of years now, and I don't even miss it. I still have my Netflix that
I have the same thing, my Netflix. Yeah.
I occasionally watch, but you know what? I don't even miss TV. I don't miss it at all.
I don't either. I don't either.
That bring me joy and fill me up. And I do want to one end note that for people, when you do the work, when you release, when you surrender, when you do the shadow work, because the emotional stuff, there's a lot of it that you have to work through yourself. There's definitely people like me that can help you with the activating and can see things and can drive you and maybe tell you things where you need to go and what you need to work on. You have to do some of the work yourself. That is part of your journey. But I can tell you, when you do the work, you are rewarded. And
and I can attest to that.
yeah, you are rewarded, and it may come in many forms.
Even if it's just peace, how
Yes.
beautiful is that within yourself? How beautiful is that? What a gift!
It is. It is a huge gift.
So you may not learn to levitate or astral, but what if you just felt that every day was a blessing?
Yeah.
What a miracle!
Yeah.
What a miracle! I just want to say thank you so much. My heart loves you. My soul loves you. And you make me cry in a good way. And I believe in what you're doing, and I know you're going to continue. And I really look forward to our next session, which I think is probably coming up pretty soon. Yeah. And to the audience, thank you so much for letting us ramble on. I think we did a really nice rambling job. What do you think?
I think so. It was beautiful. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so let's get this shared out in case there's somebody out there right now crying and needing it.
May I please do a little
please
blessing? Kayita simana mania taiki wala mocho siwala hia poku chitiki moyana mo atela boko kacha siwala moko ki ni mania cho kayi wala poku yiti ki minya talayana mo kayatene kine kayana mo takiti kayana mo. Many blessings, beautifuls. Kayoto simana. Oh, I saw this beautiful energy coming down over everyone.
I feel it.
It's
like twinkle stars coming down.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you are welcome.
Remember, guys, Wednesdays, Instagram, Pleiadian Portal Experience. You're going to love it. I love you.
I love you too, Carrie. Much love. I'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye.